Good afternoon. It's Friday, April 28th, 2017. For all Western New York news and radio, I'm Scott Leffler. National Weather Service calls for increasing clouds today with a high near 58. Tonight there's a chance of showers with a low around 51. Saturday offers more showers with a high near 58 again and a low around 43. What's in the news? Ian D. Goolsby, age 40 of Rochester, who was convicted after a jury trial of possession of heroin with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, possession of a firearm and ammunition as a previously convicted felon, possession of a firearm with removed, altered, or obliterated serial number, and unlawful possession of a controlled substance, was sentenced to 25 years in prison. David Hill, age 39 of Rochester, who was convicted of illegal re-entry after having been previously deported due to a conviction for an aggravated felony, was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Prosecutors say the Jamaican citizen had previously been deported and told not to come back. Irvin Bates, age 64 of Buffalo, who was convicted of theft of government funds, was sentenced to 2 years probation and ordered to pay $3,760 in restitution. Prosecutors say Bates worked at a Williamsville printing company contracted by the United States Postal Service to print and manufacture postage stamps and related specialty products. Bates stole $3,760 worth of stamps while employed there. Marinella Unguru Dusila of Romania was sentenced to time served by U.S. District Judge Richard Arcara for her role in a bank fraud scheme operated by her husband, Nicole Sarbu. Between August and November of 2015, Unguru Dusila had knowledge but failed to report that Sarbu was engaging in a scheme to defraud Bank of America by using skimming devices and cameras on multiple occasions at automated teller machines in the Buffalo and Rochester areas, as well as in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The total loss suffered by Bank of America as a result of this fraudulent activity was $183,000. Yusef Blocker, age 35 of Rochester, pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute crack cocaine. The charge carries a maximum penalty of 20 years and a $1 million fine. Courtney Vogt, age 37 of Ontario, pleaded guilty to bank fraud, a charge that carries a maximum penalty of 30 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Prosecutors say that between September 2013 and September 2015, Vogt used her position at a Rochester business to forge and personally negotiate 132 business checks totaling $134,000. Richard Pettix, age 32 of Rochester, pleaded guilty to making material false statements and operating an unlicensed money transmitting business before U.S. District Judge Charles Siragusa. The charges carry a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. Petrix, who was prohibited from computer and cell phone use due to a previous child porn conviction, conducted a Bitcoin transaction with an undercover federal agent at a business in Buffalo. Using his laptop computer and smartphone, the defendant transferred approximately $13,000 in the form of 37 Bitcoins to an address specified by the agent. When confronted by the federal probation officers at the scene, Petrix claimed that the laptop and smartphone weren't his and that he could not access them. Juan Ramon Montoya Martinez, age 35 of El Salvador, who was convicted of unlawful re-entry following deportation for an aggravated felony, was sentenced to 7 months in prison by U.S. District Court Judge Charles Siragusa. The court also ordered that the defendant be turned over to the Department of Homeland Security upon his release and deported back to El Salvador. Police news. New York State Police are conducting an investigation following a crash on Wednesday that involved a trooper's vehicle. According to the New York State Police account, at 4:28 p.m., an unmarked trooper's vehicle, a 2016 Chrysler 200, was traveling southbound on State Route 417 when a 2008 Ford Escape, operated by Betty Lewis, age 73 of Wellsville, failed to stop for a red light at the intersection of State Route 417 and Madison Street in Wellsville, and was struck by the trooper's vehicle. Both operators were transported to Jones Memorial Hospital with injuries. No emergency lights were activated during or before this collision, and as of yet, no charges have been filed in what police are calling an ongoing investigation. 20-year-old Brandon Sholin of Jamestown was charged Tuesday with driving while ability impaired by alcohol following an incident on I-86. According to state police, troopers responded to I-86 for a report of a subject in the roadway. The subject was ultimately taken into custody, and the driver of the vehicle, Sholin, in which the subject was the passenger, displayed signs of impairment and was placed under arrest following field sobriety tests. 29-year-old Todd Bloomberg was charged Tuesday with unlawful possession of marijuana following a traffic stop on Lakeview Avenue in Jamestown. State police say he was stopped for a traffic violation and determined to be in possession of 14 marijuana cigarettes, 2 containers with approximately 8 grams of marijuana, and a pipe containing marijuana residue. A 65-year-old Olean man was charged Monday with felony DWI following a traffic stop on State Route 16 in Machias. According to state police, Gary G. Lurchin was stopped for crossing the center line multiple times and subsequently determined to be intoxicated. He was transported to the Machias Troopers Barracks for processing and found to have a 0.09% blood alcohol content. A previous DWI conviction in the past 10 years resulted in the felony charge on Monday. A 28-year-old Westfield man was charged Monday with driving while ability impaired by drugs and unlawful possession of marijuana following a crash on Route 430 in Ellery. Troopers responded to a report of a vehicle in the road. Investigation revealed that Joshua Huntress was driving under the influence of a narcotic when he left the roadway for an unknown reason. Huntress was placed under arrest after failing field sobriety tests and was additionally charged with unlawful possession of marijuana when a bag of marijuana was discovered in his pocket. A 36-year-old Portville woman was charged Wednesday with second-degree criminal impersonation after police say she told them she was her own sister following a traffic stop. According to New York State Police, at approximately 11:20 a.m., troopers stopped Kelly M. Crawford on State Route 417 for speed and tinted windows. Crawford did not have a driver's license or photo ID with her at the time of the stop and gave her sister's name and date of birth to the interviewing trooper. But upon further investigation, Crawford's true identity was determined, and it was revealed that her license had been revoked. Crawford was then arrested and transported to the Olean Troopers Barracks for processing, where she was charged with third-degree aggravated unlicensed operation and other vehicle and traffic violations, in addition to the impersonation charge. She was issued appearance tickets returnable to the town of Portville Court in June. Sports! It's just so hard to sweep both games of a doubleheader. The Tides found that out on Wednesday night, and less than 24 hours later, the Herd learned it as well. The two sides split a doubleheader for the second time in as many days Thursday at Harbor Park, as Buffalo won 3-0 before Norfolk rebounded for a 2-1 victory. The Rochester Red Wings won as Benji Gonzalez hit a bases-loaded single in the bottom of the ninth to help carry the Wings to a 5-4 victory over the Gwinnett Braves. The Red Wings remain at home for a 6:35 p.m. contest, while the Bisons remain on the road tonight. First pitch in their game against the Bulls is set for 7:05 p.m. The Buffalo Bills traded down in the first round of the draft Friday night and picked Trey Davius-White in the 27th slot. For more on that, be sure to listen to Corey Comments on following the 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. newscasts, or later tonight on the podcast. This week's Live from the Archives is two different recordings from The Revenue on different dates, with some Laszlo Hollifeld in between. They take place in May and June of 2006. Live from the Archives air every Friday and Saturday night on All Western New York Radio. Okay, that's the news. For All Western New York News and Radio, I'm Scott Leffler. I will be taking the weekends off from doing radio newscasts from now on, so this becomes a Monday through Friday feature beginning today. And that means I'll be back in your ears on Monday. Gojira has been rocking the heavy metal scene for more than 20 years, going from near obscurity to being labeled as one of the genre's leading new millennium upstarts. They're one of the supporting acts on Metallica's upcoming tour, but before that, you can catch them at the Rapids Theater Tuesday, May 16th. Tickets are just $30 in advance and $35 the day of the show. That's Gojira at Rapids Theater, May 16th.